Here we go. It is markets in the morning. Let's go. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is the blockchain backer bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. Welcome to Markets in the Morning. Today is Wednesday, January 24th, 2024. This is Markets in the Morning, where we take a look at the price action of the cryptocurrency market, including the Bitcoin price chart and the altcoin market, as we get set for the United States stock market to open up here in 1 minute. Stock market looks like it's going to open to the upside. We, of course, will take a peek over there at precious metals and the US dollar currency index, while also looking over there at any type of crypto news as we get ready to kick off our day, and any type of financial news that seems relevant or important as we kick off our day. But before we get started, happy Wednesday, everybody.
It is Wednesday, my It is Wednesday,
Halfway through the week, halfway to the weekend, baby. All right, guys. Happy Wednesday, everybody. We'll play the frog a couple more times if it's your first time to catch a Wednesday live stream. We always celebrate that we are halfway through the work week, working towards the weekend, and we're getting closer and closer as Wednesday has now bestowed itself upon us. But let's go ahead and stop goofing off. Let's go ahead and dive into the charts and see what's going on. As you know, there's been some negative price action throughout the cryptocurrency market. Yesterday, we were watching, I even had kind of the title, kind of like capitulation crash in the title yesterday. We're looking to see if we could even find some support there for XRP Live. It actually did find the support in the middle of the stream. I'm going to guess that there's probably still one more dip that's left in here to get this thing flushed in here and shake people a little bit more. But it was nice to see that some supports did come in there. We've seen some supports over there for Bitcoin. It got as high as, did it get to 41? No, I got about $40,500 yesterday, or earlier this morning, as things kind of have settled down for the price action of what's been going on. You guys all know it. You've been here every day, right? It's been downward ever since the ETF launches have happened. We'll get a true number, about $40,500 there for Bitcoin. Pretty much right on the button there. Still just kind of shuffling its way down. Still, these are just higher highs and higher lows. Looking like the thing I've been looking for, of course, is just to see divergences show up there and start out on bigger time frames. Daily, do you see it? Nope. Do you see it over there on the 12-hour? Nope. Do you see it there on the 8-hour? Nope. Do you see it there on the 4-hour? Not really. If you want to say, oh, that one right there, but really the whole thing, not really. Kind of looking for something more defined to show up in there. Go to the 2-hour. Do you see it in there? If it wants to load. No, not really, right? These really dipped a lot lower. It's still no big reversal signs showing up yet, but we are kind of reaching those areas where things could start to settle down. And that's what we were really watching for in yesterday's Markets in the Morning. And sure enough, things did start to settle down. Things on like XRP, which we've been watching for that dip to come in and for that dip to just hold in there, as we've seen historically before. That's exactly where we are at right now. If this is the case, this is it. Golden opportunities, right? But if we start taking out lower lows, then things become drastically different. Otherwise, it's like, hey, this is it. As we know, we're looking at, I brought this up yesterday, that this is the CoinTrader Pro chart, and there's for some reason an error over here on CoinTrader Pro, and I don't know why. It holds on top of the supports here, but we could see throughout everything that we look at, that is not the case. It's definitely a deeper shift down into here, regardless of wherever we are looking at. To see how those things reacted. So we're actually right there in the zone. We'll see if we can end up holding that throughout the next couple of days. No real clear signs that it's firing out of there just yet. I'm going to guess there's still one more dip down into here. And if that opportunity does arrive, I'll go ahead and jam some funds into the market. But if these lows get taken out in here, that would trigger a stop loss on that particular trade. But otherwise, as for Bitcoin, still waiting, right? You still see it in here, right? Typically this is a pretty decent spot for there to be some real support in here. So, it's been hard. And I know you guys are like cheering for a video, right? I haven't put out a video in a little time. Really, the last video that I put out was just like, hey, that's it. I think that was, that's the markers. I showed all the markers showing that, that reversal stuff had happened over there on Bitcoin, looking at volumes, looking at everything to say that. And now it's really just kind of like, I could put out videos and just be like, yeah, down, down. But I think we kind of cover it here in Markets in the Morning of being like, look, it's time to start finding some supports. And if we could start finding some supports to come in here, and then we can start seeing some divergences come in here, then we can start looking towards new additional structures right now, right? Like the thing that I'm paying attention to really closely, of course, is just like any type of distribution structure to happen in here for Bitcoin with where we're currently at right now. Totally not ruling out the potential that a new high could come in above the one that we saw hit the 618. Actually common to see that happen in distribution, and also goes along in lines with the things that we're talking about over here in the stock market, that if this distribution is all correct, that we're really just in the first leg and then another one eventually comes. My thoughts would be Bitcoin would follow right along with something like that happening in there. But of course, on the bigger, broader perspective of Bitcoin and the concerns and the worries I have just for people in general out there in the world are things like this. It's coming down to what's going on over here in the United States stock market, where we're at, where the NASDAQ is at. The NASDAQ is less than 2% away from its 4.236 extension. So anybody who has their 401ks out there, has their life savings, their entire retirements, everything like that, if you're looking for me to come onto this channel and tell you sell, it's not going to happen. I don't ever tell you when to buy. I don't ever tell you when to sell. You see this. Your guess is as good as mine on how it will react from here. You've seen it with your own eyes, how reactions can happen from these levels. And we're really, really close to it. And I do know there's a lot of complacency. The bulls are in total, I don't even know what, irrational exuberance, never coming down. The Fed's going to start QE. It's going to be all crazy and all that stuff. And, you got to also kind of witness it yourself. And these are things I talk about with narratives, magical unicorn, fairy dust, puppet masters pulling the puppet strings. I do not know what a narrative would be if this thing rejects and everything just starts crumbling to the ground. But a great example of just how narratives change is really just watching. And we can go to our recent memory, is how things just happened with the Bitcoin ETF. How great the news was, how great everything was, the ETF's launch, and then it turns out Grayscale is a nightmare, right? That's the narrative of it, right? And so narratives just tend to change, right? And not only that, with Grayscale, they had 675,000 Bitcoin. They still have 550, right? There's still a tremendous amount there, right? So it's like narratives tend to change. And I think especially with the Fed stuff, right? Like if Jerome Powell comes out next Wednesday and, right now it's expected that it'll be paused. The probabilities of the next meeting have shifted back to a greater than 50% probability that the Fed will cut in March. There's going to be a lot of ears listening to what Jerome Powell has to say on this meeting that's coming up in a week from right now. And we'll end up seeing what happens in his language. Is he going to give the market the reassurance of which way to swing? Right now, the market is totally indifferent. It's like, I don't know. There's like a coin flip chance on whether we are or we aren't, and he'll give kind of a signal to to whether that is or that isn't going to happen. But why will rate cuts just come because everything is fine and dandy, or will they come because problems are emerging underneath the hood of the markets, right? And this market assumes everything is completely perfect and fine. And we're going to talk about this until we get there. And I hope that. I hope people are paying attention. You're the one in control of your future, not me. You're going to find out we're going to find out what's going to happen. You know what I will take $1 million. You know what I'll take any day of the week? I will take this thing plowing through here and just make me look like a clown on the internet. I will take that any day of the week over it actually rejecting. Because this future, this is just BCB looking like a clown on the internet. This future right here, it's not the one that we should be looking forward to. It's not the one to cheer for, right? There's no way I'm cheering for that. And anyway, I don't think I am cheering for it. But you got to see it with your own eyes throughout crypto back in 2021 when we did precisely that. So an example of this, like this would be like actually hitting the 4.236. This is like a second hit of the 4.236. And then things started to fall apart. And so structurally, we've been doing something kind of like that. So things I am watching right now on the NASDAQ is, we're getting really, really, really close. And to put this into percentage perspectives of how high the NASDAQ has risen, we'll just take the great financial crisis. We won't even use the actual bottom. We'll just take great financial crisis of, when Bitcoin was born and show you what the tech sector of the market has actually done here in the last 15 years. %1,600%. We're only 1.7% away from a 4.236 extension. So I hope people are paying attention. Pray to God that they are paying attention and, go from the actual literal bottom of when this all began. We're at over 2,000. So over 2,000, we're 1.7% away from a 4.236 extension. The Dow Jones Industrial Average, I believe it has now shifted to being under 3% away from the 4.236 extension. And the other thing to keep in mind, so it's at 3%. This is where how high the Roaring '20s bubble went before the bubble popped before the Great Depression. So we have now gone 480%, 480%. We are 3% away from being as high as the bubble was before the Great Depression. So that's a nervous laughter that we got going on there. Anyway, back to crypto, right? So still, the thing is, right, the thoughts on it are what we're going to be looking for is looking for distribution in here, right? This is kind of just the thesis that I'm running with on my channel. You're welcome to watch anybody's channel you want. You're welcome to watch for your cycle theorists. You're welcome to watch block reward halving theorists. You're welcome to watch anybody have any theory that they want, because everybody does have their own theory. I do try to base mine off of technical analysis and off of historical price behavior. And so these historically, and you even witnessed it with crypto in 2021, these are historical levels of concern to have here. But what we have to look for is, are we creating a parabolic blow off top that pops and goes kerplunk? Or are we creating something more along the lines that does something more of a longer distribution? And so my thoughts are, when I look at the structures and count them out, I see something that's much more of a, we hang out here for a little while and do some type of distribution like that, right? Do I know that for certain? Of course not. But does it structurally have that appearance to it? And it sure does to me that that's the type of structure that we're doing in here, especially when we had things like the NASDAQ, where this is like your initial profit taking that you have above the 3.618. That is the exact same conditions we were matching in here when this type of thing happened, and that it is more distribution that happens at the top rather than things just going completely lights out afterwards. And so if we do have distribution in here, it would indicate that, hey, there would still be hope. There'd still be optimism. Go back and relive in 2021. Go relive in October and November. $100,000 rainbow charts left and right. Conducting polls. Even me screaming that the sky is going to fall on Bitcoin. Even my own audience, still 64% thought that Bitcoin was going to 100K and 36% thought we were going to go down to the ground to 20K. So still that irrational exuberance still stays there for a little while in environments like that. And so when we think of things like this for Bitcoin, this type of structure, of course, it's working that in with the stock market and the broader pictures of things like that happening throughout all markets. And that if there's irrational exuberance, if there's excitement, if there's still the beliefs that this thing isn't coming down at all, right, then how do we see that translate throughout the rest of the market, right? How do you see that happen in lower cap, mid caps throughout the altcoin market? Not only that, but lower cap, mid caps, the Russell throughout the stock market, which is still trying to play a catch-up game, which I think there probably will be a catch-up setup game for the Russell as well, because the Russell looks just like the altcoin market does, right? You have the S&P, the NASDAQ, and the Dow Jones. They're all up there at those highs, but you still have the Russell still lagging way behind. And it's that same kind of thing, that same kind of dynamic throughout the market happening in there. So, this is the thought process I'm going with when I present information on this channel of the things that I see, right? If we see, all these indexes just go plowing through the 4.236 extensions never to return, then hey, let's go. I'll take it all day. But also not to be confused of, if we poke above the 4.236 extension, it's not common that we just go hit it with a pinpoint prick and that becomes the end and it just gets lights out at the actual 4.236 on the button. We can use examples over here. I'll show you. If we can load, there we go. I'm doing something on the other screen and then I will drag it over here onto our screen. There we go. Right, as you can see, hits, slide above, pull back, one more, and then gone. But as you can see here in the actual bull run, where does it head to? It does exceed that 3.618. It has the big correction, pulls right back up, and then there's a distribution phase that happens up in here. It doesn't just do like what the Great Depression did, where it just does a complete lights out candle. There's actually longer distribution that happens up in these areas before things can turn down. And my suspicion is we're going to see something like that just because we have the structures for things like that to occur in here. And so all of that translates back to over here of being like, we're watching this thing, it's pulling back. As you guys know, even my last video put out a week and a half ago, like saying, I think it's the top of Bitcoin. I still don't believe that it's going to go straight line down. I think it's a whole lot more likely that we are more so kind of working out that first half of what's going on in there in distribution. And it's kind of waiting. And so we're talking about like, hey, this seems like a reasonable place to be able to find some type of bounce to come in here, right? Because that's a common place where you do find them, right? You could see that in here after the initial fall. Right, you get back down into these levels, and then there's a bouncing that happens, right? And so that's kind of like being back in here. We're getting back into a supportive region. It seems possible that there could still be that, and then there's the one more push. Whatever the Bitcoin's market cap, the 702 retrace of its market cap. Where are you? Right here. Right, it's like a magnet because it's a perfectly round number and it's unbelievable. The 702 Fibonacci retracement level of Bitcoin's market cap just so happens to be $1 trillion, right on the money. So, I wouldn't be surprised to have that type of distribution happen in here. And so that's kind of what I'm hoping for too. It's kind of what I'm cheering for. I don't go onto Twitter, and I even mentioned that, even like when I'm like, hey, look, I've sold all my Bitcoin. The last sell was like at 46,400 or something. I don't like to play the villain. That's not my job. And that's not my character, and that's not what I want to be. My goal is to be right, and my goal is not to gloat that I'm right. So the lack of videos too is also, I don't really feel like coming onto YouTube and gloating about that, or really just saying more down, down, down. And especially since we're waiting, if we can get to a pivotal level in here, if we can get down to like 38K or just slightly below it, then it's time to really watch for those bullish divergences and watch for reactions to come out of there. So we're getting close. We're getting really close. And maybe in the next day or two, we do end up seeing that. But still, this is just a concept that I'm going through with the market. This is the thesis that I have for the market and the one that I am following. You're welcome to follow anybody, But, in the end, these things are concerning when it comes to the longer term, right? And so, of course, I catch a lot of flack for being like, I just think Bitcoin's retracing. And then I think that's probably the end of Bitcoin for quite some time. And that is very frowned upon. But all of this is ignored, right? If this does play out, if this does occur, I don't know how you can, in good conscience, think Bitcoin's going to go straight up and continue 4-year cycles and 4-year block reward halvings, and that's going to send everything into oblivion. It seems like we're in this moment of where euphoria can happen. We're in this moment where retail goes nuts, retail longs. You can't afford not to buy the market, right? Like that's kind of in the moment we're at. So we're at this point where a lot of excitement can happen throughout markets, and we're aware of that. But the thing we are also aware of is that when we go back into every aspect of markets, is that we know they don't last long, right? Even in something like this, and I'm not saying we're going to get something this crazy happening in the market, but when you get moments like these, they're short-lived, guys. I mean, like, if you weren't here during this time, this is life, right? And then that happens, and that's really it. That's the end of the market, right? That was the whole market, and then it was over. And so it's like kind of keeping our eyes out of being like, look, there's conditions for things like this to happen. Like we're entering this moment of like extreme euphoria and excitement. We're entering where all that can happen. But at the same time, like we know from a time perspective, these things don't last long, right? And this is less than 4 months and this thing is completely over. Then people will say, well, no, we kept going. This is distribution. Nobody made it big in this second rally happening in here, right? The legitimate percentages of the entire market are all made in this particular moment. And then it went up slightly higher, slightly higher. That's it, right? It's not like what you had back in 2017 where, we rally huge up in here, right? And then you pull back and then you go and you set another new high and you go up another, 700%. And then you go up, you correct for a long time, and then you go up another 1,000%. That's not what this is, right? It's all still just a distribution structure happening in here. So, this is just how I operate. I'm always forward looking. I'm not living in the moment. Most traders, or not even traders, most people who are just hanging out on Twitter, following people and, watching content and not doing that. They're looking to be spoon fed. They live in the literal moment. And I just don't live in the moment. I'm trying to live further out. And so when I'm living further out, I'm thinking to myself, all right, well, what kind of distribution can we do here? What does it mean for the stock market? How much time is it buying us? When we do things like this, how much time is it buying us in here? If all of this is correct, and how can we see markets react, and where do we pull plugs, and where does all that happen in the future? ETFs, grayscale. What's the new FUD that just came out yesterday? Mt. Gox, right? Mt. Gox. I just don't care. I just do not care at all, like one bit, at all. Your narratives are silly to me. They mean nothing to me. That's it. So I'm looking forward. I'm looking at it through this too. So this is kind of why there's not videos. Like you guys have heard this stuff before. This is nothing new. And I think if there is another dip and there's a very strong divergence that happens in here, we can go ahead and put together a video for that. But again, just because there haven't been videos doesn't mean I haven't shown up every day. I'm here every single day, putting out content, hanging out with you guys, fielding questions, doing all that stuff. It's just as for, I can either create quantity of videos or quality, right? And I want to make sure where we are right now, the last thing I want to do is convolute the message that I have. And I don't want to put out content that convolutes the message. My thoughts are, and the things I'm watching for with the market right now, is to be that we can find some support soon for Bitcoin to continue distribution. However, maintaining the false belief amongst Bitcoiners that things are going to be fantastic for them when it really is just distribution, as we actually see happening over here in the United States stock market. However, as people are now worried about grayscale, worried about Mt. Gox, and now that Bitcoin is a banker's coin, that they'll start seeking that crazy degen life throughout the rest of the cryptocurrency market, and that we actually do see structures that are very familiar that happen in here when Bitcoin has reached that euphoria phase, when Bitcoin has run out of juice, that we can actually get some big momentum to happen throughout the market, and that we're in those areas for that to happen right now. So those are all the things that I'm watching for, and I'm really excited about the next couple of months. I just think there's going to be a lot of people sitting here waiting for Bitcoin to give them generational wealth, where, just so you know, even your favorite people like Anthony Pompliano don't even think you're going to get 100% in years, right? I listened to him on a Twitter space, the ETFs. He even thinks it's going to kill the volatility of Bitcoin, and that while people are used to seeing Bitcoin rise 500, 1,000, 2,000%, that those will just be way more muffled now, right? Like you hear people whine and complain about the gold and silver market a lot, and that it's manipulated by JP Morgan and the banks, and right, and JP Morgan's paid fines for all that manipulation. And then you go to places like usdebtclock.org, and you see like paper to gold ratio and paper to silver ratio, and that how many pieces of paper gold are traded in relation to how many pieces of physical gold. And the same thing with silver, right? And it's like 100 to 300 pieces of paper for every actual one piece of gold and silver that actually exists. And that argument has been out there that, the ETFs actually create supply, not demand. And as these financial products continue to get issued for Bitcoin, right, creates a lot more paper trading. It creates a lot more money that otherwise would have gone only in derivatives, right, and shorts, and money that would otherwise be spent only longing Bitcoin, right? You go way back in the day, and you say, what was the only way you could, speculate on Bitcoin? The only way you could speculate on Bitcoin was either to buy it or to sell it. But now there's a tremendous amount of investment vehicles to be able to do so. And anybody who has money and wants to speculate on Bitcoin, the option is not to take that money and just long. And that's the only thing you can do. You can now go buy short ETFs, long ETFs, derivatives, perpetual futures contracts. You got all this different type of stuff that you can do in there. So anyway, the thoughts are that the volatility of it and the upside potential of Bitcoin has definitely been diminished drastically. And, well, if you want to degen, go degen. So, anywho, we are entering a period of time in this market where those types of things can happen, where irrational exuberance can happen, irrational risk-taking can happen, and you can't lose going long is what they say, and that's what always go back 3 months ago. What were they saying, right? But this is how it goes. So, these are my thoughts. I'm looking for some excitement to come up in this market. I don't think it's coming to Bitcoin. Staying firm to that, very firm to that idea that I do not think it's coming for Bitcoin. And mind you, I've been a Bitcoin bull all year. So all you guys who are washing machining yourself and getting flipped and flopped and 3K calling, 10K calling, 12K calling, 26, 20, up, down, million in 90 days. Then you sold at the bottom, bought at the top, and you did it over and over again. I bought the lows and held it all the way up and was a bull. You got no room to talk. That's it. You got none. I'm telling you right now, I don't think there's a lot of room left in Bitcoin. So I'm not interested in it as an investment perspective in Bitcoin. Now I'm watching for market dynamic shifts to happen. That Bitcoin has reached back to its retracement levels. Distribution, altcoins, Russell, crazy, euphoria, irrational exuberance, all those good things. Just like we saw over there in Bitcoin, but in other aspects of the market. There you go. I didn't get too spicy, right? I'm good. Hit the thumbs up button if you like that. Hit the thumbs down button if you hate it. Pat, by the way, I see you gifted 10 BCB memberships. Brother, I missed you yesterday. I didn't get it yesterday, and then PTW was filling me in on stuff, man. I'll shoot you a DM. But thank you very much, man. I forgot to... It popped up in one section of my screen, but not on the other section. Thank you very much, bro. I hope you're doing good. I appreciate the support. All right, so there you go. Bitcoin, we're still just waiting for some supports to come in. I would guess we still need one more little flush lower with a bullish divergence to emerge up in here before we can start saying, all right, they're at least emerging. We just don't have bullish divergences happening here for Bitcoin just yet. I suspect they'll come. They just haven't arrived as of yet. Otherwise, looking for things like XRP to end up holding. Total altcoin market cap. Looks like we lost everything that we had on this screen. Still continues to hold that level. Did not break in yesterday's price action over there. Still just holding. Again, NASDAQ, you're just a couple of less than 2% away from hitting your 4.236 extension after a 2,000% rise. Dow Jones Industrial Average, you are less than 3% away from the 4.236 extension and the height of the roaring 20s that eventually led to the Great Depression. You are 3% away. Gold, washing machine over here this morning. You actually had gold and silver up a little bit this morning. Looks like silver's still up 20 cents. Gold is down $5.25. DXY back above 103 before I started the stream. It had flipped back down below 103, but now back above 103. Nothing big going on over there. As for, let's go ahead and refresh this now that markets are actually open. Oh, all right. I guess before we do this. Okay, let's take the seriousness off the page. We'll get rid of a lot of the seriousness that we just had and go ahead and remember, deep breath. It's halfway to the weekend.
It is Wednesday, my dude. It is Wednesday, my
Okay. Now we'll tame it back down. Happy Wednesday. You're halfway to the weekend. You only have a couple more days. Look, this is what my kids and I always do whenever something good's coming up. Only 2 more sleeps. 2 more sleeps, and then it's Friday. We're almost there. All right. 97% probability that the Fed will be paused at next Wednesday's meeting. Again, we always live stream these things. Been a long time counting that clock. It's always fun to see it finally slip down into the final minutes when that stream does end up starting. Probabilities of future rate cuts has shifted more towards that greater than 50% probability that they will have a cut by March 20th. Looking over there, financial news, Netflix pops 10% as streamer adds 13.1 million subscribers, tops revenue estimates. Tyson drops CVS for upstart pharmacy benefit manager as industry upheaval over cost concerns spreads. Wait, what? Tyson drops CVS for upstart pharmacy benefit manager as industry upheaval over cost concerns spread. Okay. I'm going to read more into that on my own. But the idea of Tyson Foods having anything to do with pharmacies should be utterly terrifying. Have you guys ever seen those Netflix shows with like Food Inc. or like where your chicken comes from and the conditions that they're in? Tyson Foods like pumps their chicken. Like according to these documentaries, Tyson is the biggest offender of like steroids, drugs, horrible conditions for just cattle raising these chickens. And if they become in charge of pharmacies, I don't know, for upstart pharmacy benefit. Maybe I'm misreading it, right? Just drop CVS for upstart pharmacy benefit. Maybe they're starting a company and CVS would be the pharmacy benefit manager. Maybe that's what it is. Okay, that may be what it is. Just Tyson, don't get into the pharmacy game. That's all I'm saying. Dear God. All right, SEC to vote today on tough new rules for blank check SPAC companies. Clara to debut $7.99 monthly plan as buy now, pay later firm seeks new revenue sources ahead of IPO. Buy now, pay later. Tune in to Alpha Beta Soup, TXMC Trades for more coverage of the risks associated with the hidden debt of the world with buy now, pay later. Deutsche Bank downgrades Netflix, says all the good news is priced into the stock. Yeah, boy, after that was weird. 2 days ago, like the lead guy of their original programming stepped down, and then last October, the CEO stepped down, and then now we're just getting bombarded with good news. It's a little weird. But the earnings were good, I guess, as long as they weren't faked. Okay. Trump races toward 2024 Biden rematch after New Hampshire win. China boosts stimulus by allowing banks to keep smaller reserves. U.S. GDP data will showcase consumer set to power the economy in 2024. Ackman ramps up Israel support with a 5% stake in Tel Aviv Stock Exchange. Russia says Ukraine downed plane carrying 65 prisoners for swap. Private equity firms began 2024 in sell now, buy later mode. Huh. Sell now, buy later mode. Okay. All right, heading over to crypto because we're now at 35 minutes in. 9 spot Bitcoin ETFs buy 100,000 Bitcoin in 7 days after launch. Makes a great narrative, but it's not them buying it. It's you buying the ETFs and them putting the Bitcoin into the ETFs. It's not the ETFs buying it. You buying the ETFs. It's a great narrative. BlackRock buys Bitcoin. No, they don't. You're buying it. And they're sourcing it. Bitcoin price risks $30,000 over supercharged inflation, says Arthur Hayes. Canada's use of law freezing protesters' crypto donations was unconstitutional, says judge. An Ethereum ETF is coming sooner than you expect. Socket Protocol recovers 2/3 of stolen Ethereum from hack. Crypto whales hunt for bargains as Bitcoin prices slide, the data shows. I doubt it. I doubt it. Donald Trump labeled wallet has over 1 million of Trump meme coin. Someone must have created a ERC20 of Trump coin and sent it to him. Issuance of the Trump tokens has nothing to do with Trump, but some are using the tokens as a speculative bet on his ongoing presidential campaign. Oh boy. Oh boy. That's going to end poorly. Crypto lender Nexo seeking $3 billion in damage. That's not a... First of all, I'm not political, so that I got to make sure I reframe myself. That had nothing to do with Trump. That had nothing to do with anything. That had to do with some rando made some coin. Everybody's going to ride it up for no reason, and then it's just another meme coin pump and dump. You do whatever you want. I do always try to refrain, and this year especially, we're going to really try to. It's sometimes impossible to not read stuff when it's the front page stuff. It's probably going to happen all the time. But I really try to remain really neutral here on the channel when it comes to any types of politics. I am not here to sway you one way or the other. I'm not here to do anything. Everybody has their own life. You are living your own life. You are voting or caring about politics in a way that matters to you. And that is not something for me to try to influence you on. Sometimes we have to cover it, but just know I'm not here to... influence you. I will, however, talk trash about people that are impacting our industry. So, I have no problem doing anything like that. Good old Gary Gensler or Elizabeth Warren, they can... I better behave. They need to go away. That's what needs to happen. Okay, I think we've covered all the news. I think that's it. So there you go. That's what's going on. We got a little bit of support happening there for Bitcoin currently at these prices. Yesterday did end up holding. We also saw the hold come in there for XRP. Still not convinced yet. I would be looking for a way bigger shove out of there to confirm some supports coming in there and for more bullish divergences. But I think we're awfully close for where something like that could happen. So we're getting really close, and hopefully today or tomorrow, even if we don't get it, give some kind of sign. I don't think we have it yet. But I'm optimistic that we'll get it. I'm optimistic that we'll get something to show up here soon to show some type of support coming in here. And to, at the very least, just add some stability throughout the market, get the euphoria moving around again, get the hope coming back around again, and keep the good times going for a while. Like I said, I still think this year... Wait, that's the wrong one. That's the right one. Nope. That's the right one. Right. These have been my thoughts for the year. That there was an exciting first half of the year. And then, that after that, it's rough times ahead. It's just what my thoughts are. And so that's the way we look at it. We don't look at it in day to day. Here's today. Here's what's happening today. And this is what matters the most. It's about the really big picture of all of it. Right. excitement, 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 likely distribution, still continuing excitement, and then things turn around later. And knowing we're in the excitement is half the battle. And recognizing the excitement comes to an end at some point is half the battle. And that's just the way we're viewing the lens that we're viewing it from here. So, okay, that's going to be it. That's it. We found a little bit of support here. Still waiting for a bullish divergence to show up, and that may have to come with another sweep of the lows happening. And here's my thoughts. But whatever, at least we're much closer to it than we are further away from it. And the closer we get to it, the more of these negative news things that we show up, the better. If you haven't realized yet, as a retail investor, the news wire, the financial media, the crypto media, it's all designed, and all the events that happen are designed to wrong foot you. So whether that's good news, whether that's bad news, it's all designed to wrong foot you. So the more negative news we can see down here, the better. The more things that can shake you and rattle you and scare you, the better. That means sellers are getting exhausted. They're too scared at that point. So that's a good thing. So we'll keep our eyes out for it, and that would definitely be a positive sign. All right, Gator, my man, before the stream even started, had gifted 5 BCB memberships. Brother, thank you, 702 crew, man. Taylor McLaughlin, I've seen so many people post charts of Bitcoin going to 32K and XRP going to 37 to 44 cents. We must be close. I don't see how you get to 37. Let's see, where are we at right now? Okay, I don't see how you get to 37 cents and it not be a devastating blow to XRP, right? Just from long term. I don't see how it doesn't become something more like this. Right? I don't see how it doesn't become that if you start taking out lower lows. That's something that should not be happening in here. You get 37 to 44. Again, this is the same stuff we saw down in here. The same culprits over and over again, and nobody seems to ever notice it. On at the lows, screaming for lower, wrong-footed, left behind. At the lows, screaming for lower, wrong-footed, left behind. And nobody seems to ever notice that happens, and the followers still just continue to go. So either way, if we start breaking below these lows, and I mean, if you start getting below 43 cents, hard from a technical structure, that's a bad break, man. That's not good. As for 32K, again, right? Look, you go back a month ago when I started selling. I come on here, I'm telling you guys I'm distributing, telling you guys I'm doing it, telling you, okay, I'm done now. Right? Oh, you're an idiot. Of course, that is not 99% of you. That is 0.05%, right? And then, all the influencers, all the media, all the everything, we're going to the moon. 30K is never happening. 32K is never happening. I put it out in my long-winded tweet. I'm starting to distribute 32. If even in the most bullish scenarios of Bitcoin, right? We've gone through this multiple times. If you go through BLX, right? If you are a Bitcoin bull, you believe in a 4-year cycle. How many times have you guys here on Markets in the Morning seen this thing? If you're in the newsletter, how many times have you seen this in the newsletter? You've seen it dozens of times, no matter what. That you have back tests, right? That was ignored here. That can't happen because of ETF. Now everybody, the fear is happening, the grayscale, Mt. Gox, all that stuff. Okay, now everybody's got that target. Still, that's only, this is only valid in a bull for Bitcoin. If Bitcoin is still continuing this, right? If this is still the case, that has to be what's happened. Fortunately for Bitcoin, it has followed all of these things up until here. Things have shifted time-wise in here compared to what has happened really this whole time. All of it identical. Maybe it's because CZ Binance finally saw it. He tweeted at me and he says, well, maybe markets just happened to rhyme. And then he followed me. And then no more. That's really what happened. So yeah, this hasn't followed anymore. One thing to also take notice of in here is during this point in time right in here, back in 2016, this is the block reward halving, then it dumps back to supports, right? This is the support level. Right? Still, if you want to do exactly what you've done in all of those past ones, oops, wrong one, BLX, that's where you go. So I'm not so much about people like thinking we can go to 32K, but I also just don't think the market sees it. And it's one of those things where you always, I bring it up all the time. We have to pay really close attention to sentiment. We have to pay really close attention to the herd because the herd is always wrong. And we've watched the herd's just been kind of a year behind on where everything is at all times, or just kind of a year off on where we are. And you got to really just see it there oh no, I closed it out. You guys can still hear me, but I can't see you. Let me get back. Sorry. I know I'm still streaming, but I can't see you. There we go. Okay. Hopefully I'm back. Hopefully you didn't lose me. If you lost me, I'm back. Okay, but I'm back. Anyway, I hit the X on the screen. I don't remember what I was saying because I distracted myself so much. But the 4.2, the 618 extension, right? Like just even from the most simple stuff, like everybody who's a 4-year block reward having theorist, it doesn't matter what I think on what happens with direction, right? The internet's going to lose their mind. They can paint me as the villain. They can paint me as the devil. I do not give a crud. What you have is this has been your stopping point every time. Even for you, the 4-year block reward having theorists, that why wasn't this on your radar, right? And it's just like every time, dude. I remember going through this. It was euphoria. It was everybody being like, we're going to the moon in here. And then they just ignored it. And you have that always happen. And so when this did occur back in here, where did you go to? You went to the 618, then you pulled back down to the previous supports. So now that they're finally catching wind and they're finally understanding 32K, that's if you're a bull, right? And it would essentially need to repeat that, right? And so you broke out, you followed everything looks good and dandy. It hits the 618 retracement level, then pulls back down to supports again. And like I said, I may still buy that. I may still buy that with a stop loss lower, right? It's called a trade, right? And grabbing the supports if it ends up happening. I'll want to see what structures look like. If we just do something like this, I might not. I might be so confident that I'm like, this thing is freaking dead. Wake up, and all I'm doing is screaming the whole time and saying, it's not worth it, it's not worth it. I don't know. We'd have to see how things got there. If we just kind of go A, B, C, and get back, A, B, C really quickly and get there pretty quickly, maybe I'll take a stab at it. But if we do a full-blown distribution, of course, if the altcoins run ahead of time and we see altcoins hit retraces or we see them hit extension levels, then that would change the picture entirely. So definitely not saying that's the case at this point. My base case is there's a problem coming in the stock market. If this doesn't happen, right? If we do plow through the stock market, right? If there is no recession coming, if there is no rejection happening at 4.236 extensions, if there is no distribution, and we're raging off into the biggest bull market of our entire lives in the United States stock market, which all data suggests we're not. If we are, I don't see how you don't lean on something like this. I don't see how you don't lean on it and say, yeah, 30K, and then boom, start a whole new cycle happening in there. But it's not my base case. This is a big problem, right? So this has to be resolved, and I think we actually have months on it to watch how things do end up playing out. There you go. There goes NDXT. It's still continuing to run. There you go. So I don't know. I'm just rambling at this point. I'm really not getting through the chat. I'm going to move on. We're done. I got to go a lot quicker because I'm only at 48 minutes right now, and I've gone through 2 super chats. Okay, Andy Philpott gifted a BCB membership. Andy, thank you, brother. I appreciate it, man. You're here every day. You're so generous. Thank you, man. Jim Gaines gifted a BCB membership. Jim Gaines, man. Thanks, man. I think that's the first time I've seen you gift one. Thank you. Zeesh bought APT at the $7.50 region. Is Wave 5 finished with a $1.99? I don't know, man. I'm not going to review. I don't have time to go through individual altcoins. I'm sorry, Zeesh. Jay Wiles, ProShare short of the S&P symbol is SH. It appears to be in phase C spring. Started buying, but curious of your thoughts. Not the triple levered one. ProShare short of the S&P is SH. right? So I don't know what their... That one's a little better. But yeah, you don't get much in those drawdowns, huh? Let's see here. 30%. So like the whole drawdown of 2022 would have netted 30%. Let's see here. See, when these fees that are associated with these things, I'm not so sure I'd sit there and say that. Wouldn't you kind of have said that here too? With these levered ones, man, because this is just what they do, right? Even in the massive pullback that happened in there, that's all it does. So these things just tend to keep going. These are not investments, guys. Like these ultra shorts or shorts, or these are in and outs. These are for timing the market properly, right? The drainage of fees just absolutely destroys them all. So it's about timing the market properly on these things and then kind of getting out pretty quickly. Blockfella, BCB, my man. I guess the ABCDE Elliott Wave 4 pattern played out on XRP. God bless you and all you do. Right. So, like, hopefully, right? Hopefully that's it. ABC. And what do... so, for example, guys, and I'm not going to go into extreme detail on this for those who just remember, in contracting triangles, A, B, C, D, E, right? So this is what a contracting triangle does. I teach all about this over here on bcbacker.com, where you can learn about flats, zigzags, WXYs, and triangles. So a contracting triangle is something that can happen in wave 4, or it can also happen in wave B of an ABC correction. But in an impulsive bullish move of wave 4, you can have a contracting triangle. There are also printouts for this too, so you can print these things out and have these examples and not have to watch the videos every time that you want to reflect back on these. But where is it? Here you go. In a contracting triangle, you have A, B, C, A, B, C, A, B, C, A, B, C, which would make this E. However, the rule in the E is that you actually have another contracting triangle, and that the ABC or a flat. So you don't actually have ABC on the E wave. You have a contracting triangle. So that would be E. A, B, C, contracting triangle. So pray to God, right? Those are the things we've talked about. Okay. If you're not familiar with that, just go. You can either get the course, bcbacker.com. I talk all about it, or try to Google it and find all the wave rules on it for yourself. But I do explain it in an easy to understand video with all the rules and the printouts for you over there. Crypto Hero, for a shout out to my kids, Senna and Ennis, BCB mode. What's up, Senna and Ennis? Thank you, Crypto Hero. Jeff S., is it possible we're correcting from the 618 in a fourth wave and a final fifth wave takes us back up to around 60K? Well, you would have to ask yourself, why would we be having 5 waves there? Right? Unless if you want to say, oh, this is fifth wave. Right? Unless you're going to count that as your fifth wave, that's fine. Do whatever you want to do. But again, this comes to another discussion in something like this with Elliott wave rules, which if you have Elliott wave heroes out there, go ahead and ask them. This is what we call a running flat, right? And the running flats are consolidation continuation structures, and they only happen in two places. They only happen 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C. Again, teach this on bcbacker.com. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A, B, C. So here we go. In Elliott wave theory, you only have the running flat in two specific circumstances. You have it in wave 4, right here, or you have it in wave B. You do not have it in wave 2. So you can have it here on the way down, or you can have it right here in the B wave, right? So B wave, right? But we're going the opposite way. This is when things are heading down, B wave, right? So however you want to count that, right? If you want to count that as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, boom. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then you could say, hey, this is wave 4, right? This is the running flat in a wave 4. And then we've already now had wave 5, right? Then we got to correct. Or you could say that we are in an ABC correction. ABC. And if you want to count it as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we have ABC. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, however you want to do it. Or if you want to say this is 3 and then 5 comes in like that, fine, I don't care. But that would make the whole thing an ABC, right? So even in any of the counts, this contracting, or this running flat in here, and the locations of it appearing at are suspect. So and remember, this thing like lost all of its juice. Right? I get it. A lot of people want to keep the bullish narrative going. Look at the huge bearish divergence that emerged in here. Look at this thing go. Still bearish, right? Like all the bullish momentum that was in here, right? All the bullish momentum in here. All the bullish momentum in here washed away, right? That uptrending of bullishness, it's even the daily RSI has slipped into bearish territory. So what we can be looking for is just distribution, right? To each their own. You're welcome to do whatever you want. This has been my thesis since we moved up here, since the bottom. We fought it. It is just funny how it works. On Twitter, people will throw you under the bus. It's like, wait a minute, but but you acknowledge that we were like the only ones who wrote it all the way up? No, you're an idiot. Okay, fine. I'll accept it. Okay. So, those are the things that I think. Why would we get to 60K though? 60K is just such a weird number. 60K is way up here. I just don't see why 60K, right? If you want to like argue to death that we're going to go to the 718 or 786 retracement level, which is 57.5, I could sit here and be like, well, I doubt it. But like for 60, we're just, I don't know. I don't see it, right? We could argue tooth and nail on who's going to be right, on the last couple percentages of the market, right? And it's like, why do we care? You know what I mean? That's the thing. I always reiterate this, and nobody, the herd just doesn't know. The herd cannot wrap their head around it. Percentage measurements matter over price. And I'm not speaking to you. This is just the general herd. They're all chasing this magical fairy dust of 100K and just not doing any math over it. Why that number is so special and so round and such an accomplishment. That the number just in itself isn't huge. It's not going to change your life. I mean, I can tell you, right? I mean, this is my second largest bag. Bitcoin's my second largest bag. Run it up to hundo. It doesn't change your life. Unless you're just like a frivolous spender. I'm a kind of a saver and a scrounger. I'm like, give me a silver bar. I'll bury it out in the middle of the woods. Like it's not going to change my life. And that's not going to happen with Bitcoin. And it does not matter to me if it goes to 60. It just doesn't matter. Like the number is so minuscule. And, the internet will lose their S. BCP, you know nothing. I'm like, dude, you're no better off than you were. None. You made 20%. Your life has not changed in any way. None. So, we can all like speculate over the semantics of, where that number is. For the irony of this type of move right here, where if it did set a new high, which it's very clear on my stances. I'm not going to sit here and say Bitcoin is going to set a new high above this. I'm not going to say it's only going to retrace against here. My thoughts are we're just in distribution, right? Peaks. We've seen massive signals and signs that Bitcoin's top has been happening in here. We saw unbelievable levels of volume, bearish divergences. We don't need a grayscale narrative. We don't need any of that. We pointed it out day one that when retail longed the heck out of it, BITI, the ProShares short Bitcoin strategy ETF, they bought the crud out of it, and shorted the heck out of Bitcoin at the top right here. What we're all arguing over is the semantics of how distribution will look in here. These are difficult. My guess, right, in whether it sets a new high or doesn't, the thing that would be interesting about this one, just the interesting thing about it, is if you got here to like 50.51K in that region or something like that, that also happens to be the 702 retracement of the market cap, which is the $1 trillion like we showed earlier, right? So that's kind of the interesting thing about that, right? If you go $4.34% higher than the number that we've already seen, 4.27. That gets us to the 702 on the market cap. That's the $1 trillion level. Right, 4.27% higher. Right. That happens to be like right there, right? So it's just kind of interesting of it. And like, from a distribution standpoint, and like the things I'm talking about, like hopefully we see some support coming in here for Bitcoin at some point in these levels in here. And then I kind of draw it like this, right? And the way to think about it is like the Batman. And I don't know where I saw Batman for the first time in the trading world, but I just lost it because I closed out that tab. But this is conceptually is what you're looking like. And the way to kind of think of it, right? That you come up, right? And like, it's like you have the head in here, and then the last wing comes up on the other side, and that's your Batman. And so that's conceptually what I'm looking for, unless something else happens and it's like, well, wait a minute, no, now it doesn't look like that. But from a distribution standpoint and my thesis of how things are happening in here, that's really what I'm looking for. Looking for Batman to make its appearance, and that we're like working on the completion of Batman's first wing, right? So that's my hypothesis in theory. I don't know how I got sidetracked all the way to there, but I just did. So there we go. Jeez, and that started with the fourth wave thing. Oh my gosh, I'm way too slow. Okay, we're gonna speed it up because that super chat was from an hour ago, Jeff. Thank you, guys. If there's altcoin stuff in here, I'm gonna have to skip through it because I gotta get moving. All right, Adam M. My FA said the Fed hasn't let the market crash in an election year since 1932. Thoughts? 2020. How about the last election year? How about the last one? How about 2008? 2008 election year, and Obama gets elected down here. Market crashes into the election. You need to double check your financial. Hopefully, oh God, sir, you need to talk to your financial accountant and double check his work. Adam, thank you. Daniel, hey bro, let's say you have a 10K altcoin portfolio now, and you still have 50% you put on leverage 2x. You have advantage of leverage, and in case you get liquidated and you end up with amount as if you were holding 10K and crypto crash 50%. Thank you very much. This is a fair question. I don't know if this could take a long time to do. Okay. We're going to do it really fast. You have $10,000. Rather than putting all 10,000 in, you're only going to put in 5,000, and you're going to put it on leverage of 2x, right? So you're going to keep 5,000 in cash, 5K. Oh, what happened there? Okay, 5K cash, but you're going to let 2x leverage that. So you buy. If crypto goes up, you're good. But if it goes down, you get liquidated, right? So if it goes down 50%, you get liquidated. I think we'll have to run the numbers on this on another time because it's going to take me a while to do the math on it because I'm just going to do napkin math and somebody might call me out and say it's wrong. So this goes to 0, right? But you still have your 5K. So then you enter your 5K here. So then you bring this 5K in here after you get liquidated, right? But everything's in half. Everything's cut in half, so you pretty much get the exact same amount that you would have gotten in here at the 10K, right? Conceptually, right? So you still net same. The difference would be the funding rate, right? So that you probably wouldn't get liquidated at exactly 50%, but that maybe you get liquidated at 45% rather than an actual 50 due to the funding rate. I don't know. I'd have to run the math on it and see what I'm missing. But I'm going to bet still in the same scenario that the spot would have been the better move. Plus, how many people are going to have that type of discipline? Not many. Yeah, I don't know. I'll play with that math again, Daniel, but I would still think the funding rate would get you unless if it happened overnight, right? Because it would take less than 50% to liquidate, do the funding. Metastatus blah blah. Hi, my dude. If you check Bitcoin all-time high fractal and put it on current price action, we'll see that the second push we were looking for was on ETF launch. Bitcoin following the fractal very well at the moment. So I see what you're saying. I do see exactly what you're saying, and what his argument is that nope, we're already past it. That was actually it already, and we crash and crumble, and that was actually back here. We just went through all of this, and now we're on the backside of it, and there is no coming back from it. Maybe so. Maybe so. And so that's why we'll have to watch and see, do we find any support and any type of real bouncing happening in here? And if we do go cracking through these things, then it just becomes clear as day. We're not, right? The thing that provides a little bit of hope that we're not at that point yet is you would have to assume clearly we don't have that in the technology sector, right? We clearly are not at that point yet where we've had that, right? We clearly, in the technology sector, are still in there, right? Finally getting through the highs that we're not there. We're not there. We haven't even done the first initial touchback in here. So I don't see it happening over there yet in the tech sector. And so that's why I do find a flaw poked in that idea. I've definitely spotted it. No question about it. I've spotted it. However, I just don't think it is. Either way, I'm not touching Bitcoin with a 10-foot pole, for sure. But we're at a level where we haven't back tested, which would be here, and it would make sense for more continued distribution while these stocks indexes try to go up and hit them. But we'll find out. All right, we'll watch. Thank you, Modestas. George Alexander Ropolis. Hey, brother, do you ever use trend-based fib extensions? Bitcoin hit its 1.618 if you count 5 waves up from the 5K lows. Do you have a higher time frame Elliott wave count video out? I don't have a higher time frame Elliott wave count video out that I know of, unless it was done a long time ago. I don't use trend-based fib extensions. If somebody had a hard rule on them and showed evidence of them working and reacting, it would open my eyes to it. But a lot of times when people do these things, I get people, they come in, I'm like, all right, fine, let me hear your argument out. They'll give me some fib. They'll change things around, and the fib kind of goes like this, and they say, see, that reacted. And it's like, no, it didn't, dude. It went halfway. It's like, fine, let me give you another example. See, it reacted. No, it didn't, bro. Why are we having this discussion? Like, so I get those things all the time. You got to give me like ridiculous stuff to where like 702's nail, right? Or 702's nail. 702's nail. Otherwise, I see people kind of force things that aren't really there. And I know that's common in the market. People force things to what they want to see. But I would love, George, if you could point, at some point, show me things. And what I always like is if you can give me 3 very clear examples where you have unbelievable precision of them working. Like I just showed with the 702, 3 different examples of unbelievable precision with it working. And if people can provide those things to me, they open my eyes and pique my interest. But otherwise, I don't find that it's common. I find it's more stuff like, see, the 786 reacted. Like, what about that? I'm like, no, that didn't happen. I'm like, yeah, look at that. And that's kind of what I end up getting. But with the trend-based fibs, I have not found any tried and true method to use to say it's effective yet. And I haven't seen anybody use them where I'm like blowing my mind yet, but maybe one day. Thanks, brother. Philip Mann. Right, that's not what a trend-based fib is, by the way, everybody. I didn't bring them up. Right. So, I don't know. I don't even know. It's just there. Go like this. There you go. Right. All this stuff. I don't know. I don't know. Give me examples. Dude, who just dropped the 20-er? Dang, I got to catch up. Who is that? Hot Tub Brian, my man. I'll get to you in a minute, brother. Let me get through here. Look at all the green in the chat. Like, everybody's name is green. Okay. Philip Mann gifted a BCB membership. Brother, thank you very much. Consumer to Blockchain Solutions. I appreciate it, Philip. Consumer to Blockchain Solutions. What are your thoughts on XAUT? Seems more pegged to gold than GLD ETF. By the way, watch out for the 1.15 fib on the Dow for an initial correction. I don't follow gold ETFs. I just don't follow them. I follow Spot. What is... What the heck am I looking at? Is this like a... is this a stable coin? Pegged to gold? Oh, yeah. No, okay. I have no thoughts on this because I don't know anything about it. Wait, this is Tether's pegged to gold? Why is it over UST? Yeah, I know. I don't have any thoughts on it because I know nothing about it. So I'm going to take it off the screen. Not that it isn't okay. But again, you have to probably assume that Tether has a vault of gold somewhere. It seems more pegged to gold than the GLD ETF. By the way, watch out for the 1.15 on the Dow for an initial correction. I just don't follow those. I'm a traditional doomer when it comes to gold and cash, and it was an original thing why I liked Bitcoin too. Bitcoin was amazing to me in the aspect of FU money. Don't trust the banks, don't trust the government money. And that's what it really stood for. And that's what the culture of Bitcoin was. And it matched my beliefs with silver and with gold. And so I got to kind of throw it into that bucket of owning Bitcoin and having that belief. And then in 2021, it drastically changed of what Bitcoin is. Nobody even knows what it is anymore. And now it's, BlackRock and JP Morgan and all these people, having Twitter Spaces circle, what, and to BlackRock and JP Morgan. And I don't know what Bitcoin is anymore. It's hard to really, it's getting harder and harder to understand what it even is anymore because they don't know. They've lost the message too. A hedge against inflation, a peer-to-peer internet cash, volcano magic, there is no second best, El Salvador. They don't really even know what it is anymore. You just put it in your retirement account and you watch it grow. Why? I don't think they even know. Like, the message is gone. The message is gone. So that was my original attraction to Bitcoin and what allured me to the market in the first place. Really just because I'm kind of having those same thoughts on gold and silver and inflation and money printing and all that kind of stuff. But so when it comes to gold and the ETFs, I just don't really pay attention to them because I'm more of like, go bury it out in the middle of the woods kind of guy. So anyway, all right, moving on. Kim589, thank you very much, Kim. Gifted 5 BCB memberships. And again, thank you, Consumer, to Blockchain Solutions, man. You go into Consensus? Kim, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. I'm so far behind you guys. Thanks, Kim. JP Smith, if Chevron deference appeal goes through and the courts no longer have to defer to regulatory agencies, aka the SEC, for decisions, how would this affect crypto? I don't know. I'm not in the loop on that, brother. JP, I don't know. First time hearing of it. Andy Philpott gifted 5 BCB memberships again, man. Thank you very much, Andy. Lewis XRP, get member for 6 months. Happy Frog Day, BCB. Thanks for everything. Could you please give a huge welcome to the BCB community to our new family member, Leah. Lewis brings in Leah. Let us all go. Let us all go.
It is Wednesday, my dude. It is Wednesday, dudes.
And I do realize that the word L in Spanish actually is the masculine form of the word the. And saying, let us L go, and understanding that it is actually the masculine word of the word the. So let us the go just proves how good my Spanish really is. Thank you. Okay. Hey, Leo, welcome. Lewis XRP, thank you. Andy Philpott, it's Wednesday. My bro, thank you, man. You're super supportive. Thank you, dude. Zachariah, BCB, what's the most beautiful place you have visited? That's a really good question. Gosh, I don't know. Things that were awe-inspiring. I've been to the mountains of Idaho. That was very beautiful. I've been into the desert of Utah. That was very beautiful. There's lots of red everywhere. I went on a big traveling adventure a lot. A couple of years ago, you guys know that was during the peak of the bull run. I was bringing my laptop around with me and doing live streams and videos from all over the country. Some of the nicest area that I thought of the United States, my travels, was really kind of the intersection of where you have Virginia, North Carolina, Kentucky, and Tennessee. Kind of that little quadrant right there seemed to be kind of my favorite area. The Grand Canyon was cool to see from an airplane. I've been to Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. I've been to Russia. I've been to Moscow. I've been to St. Petersburg. I've been to Shenzhen, China. The most beautiful. I don't know. I'd have to think about it. On what I thought was the most beautiful. I don't know. One that dropped my jaw. I think you really just kind of have to find the spot in the right region. And if I had to say where you could probably find that spot in the right region, it would probably be there in Western Tennessee or Eastern Tennessee, Western North Carolina, Virginia, Eastern Kentucky. I would think those would be the areas where you could find it. Yeah. Okay. That's it. That's all I got. Thanks for the nice question. Just a random question. Look, I'm not on Twitter anymore. Listening to anything besides the news in general and yourself and charts, more in profit than back then. By the way, B&B Insights. I have no B&B Insights. I know they're in court and they're in trials and all that stuff happening in there. Unless something happens like a Luna UST collapse or something like that, which people are. I saw Attorney Jeremy Hogan, saying hug your sell button closely when it comes to BNB. From accumulation schematic, this is ending phase of accumulation. So unless there's something devastating happening to Binance and the Binance token, this is final phase of accumulation, right? This is silent climax. Secondary test in phase B. This is spring. This is where all the FUD happened for BNB. We watched it the whole time. Go back, go find YouTube videos from August and September showing that this is it. What has it done? It's worked its way back up through here. This structure does not indicate BNB is collapsing into the ground. This structure still indicates it's working on sign of strength at the top of the range, and it's already completed all phases of Wyckoff accumulation to get a break from here. I'm not a court guy, though. I don't know if there's some devastating thing happening to BNB. But if you were just a chart guy and you weren't paying attention to any of the court stuff, you wouldn't be looking at it from that manner on the chart. But thank you, Luck. And glad you don't know. I don't. You can tell I don't watch the news because I mispronounce a lot of words on the news. They're like, that guy clearly doesn't watch the news. I don't know how to pronounce a lot of these countries or names or anything like that. But yeah, I don't watch the news either. The only news I get is the news I kind of laugh at every morning. This is really the extent of my news. And then whatever really comes across my Twitter feed. And sometimes I have to kind of reset the algo on Twitter a little bit and just, instead of doing the following, I have to pay more attention to the for you stuff because it starts getting out of control the longer it goes. Those algos start thinking I like a lot of weird stuff, like fighting videos and car crashes and everything like that. I'm like, dude, I don't want any of this in my life, man. Dude, I saw some guy get shot. Like there was some home video of some dude getting shot in the face. I'm like, dude, why would I want that on Twitter? And so now I'm like really focusing on the for you stuff to reset that algo to stop it. But dang, man, Elon, dude, what WTF, bro? Luck then followed that up and said, also, my emotions have absolutely shifted away from the market since I follow you. Thank you. That's the thing that when I meet people in person, that's the number one compliment that I get. You know, we try our best on the charts, man. I wish there was a way to be 100% on the charts. You know, unfortunately, sometimes we do get some things wrong. But the thing that I always get compliments on, which means a lot to me, are things like that. Just kind of keeping the level head through all of it, right? Instead of panicking at every second or getting euphoric at every second. And people don't realize half the battle is that too. When things are really exciting, to not let that get with you. And you may not remember it at the beginning of the weeks of the ETF. The first thing I said, like in Markets in the Morning on Monday, was, I do understand this is going to be an exciting week. I do understand a lot of things can flip and flop throughout this week, but we're going to keep a level head as we go through it. And sure enough, like by maintaining that level head, it became my final exit on Bitcoin in that week on Thursday. And so far that panned out to be the right decision to do. And that had to be from not getting sucked in to what the excitement was. So, you know, the name of the game is to not treat it with like you're sitting at a roulette table and you're getting excited because your number got hit. It's having to decide, you know what, I think I'm going to walk away right now. That was pretty lucky. I'm walking away. So I'm glad to show you the lack of emotions to be a robot. That's the hardest part because we're not robots, right? We're goofballs. We're like we're just creatures of emotions. That's who we are. That's also what makes it. You ready, guys? That's what makes humans special. Is that we have emotions, and that's what makes life special, right? That's the thing. If we didn't experience love, if we didn't experience ups and downs, then we wouldn't have appreciation for things. So life is really, truly about emotions. But when we step in here, we have to turn all of it off, and that's the difficult part. And it comes with just kind of experience of going through a lot of those moments together and watching the emotions of everybody else. I really try to say, you know what, we're really reaching my technical level are the same culprits who are emotional handbaskets acting how they typically do. And a lot of times you can try to find people and use them as like your indicator. Hey, how are you acting? Okay. You're complaining like you always do, but you're complaining even more. Okay, that's good. Maybe I should be a buyer. Or you're finally euphoric. Oh no. So, they're just things to pay attention to. Thank you, Luck. Andy, again, man, like the superstar on the channel, thank you very much, man. Gifted 5 BCB memberships. And then again, Hot Tub Brian, HTB, with a 20 bomber, man. Dude, thank you very, very, very much, guys. And if your name flipped green in there, you got memberships here. There's some superstars here that hook that up for you guys all the time. Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Hot Tub Brian. Pie. Is there a scenario where we don't have a bull run in 2024 or early 2025, or is it inevitable? What? Sir, where are you? Where have you been? Yeah, if that thing dies, if the stock market dies, for sure, there's a chance nothing happens. So I think he means alts is what Romick says. Yeah, I mean, of course, there's always a chance of anything, man. Nothing is a 100% guarantee in any markets, ever. If this thing goes in a straight line down and it doesn't distribute, then it really reduces those odds, right? Drastically, I would think. If this thing straight line downs like the 1930s. Again, I just find it so freaking unlikely that that would happen. So freaking unlikely. But we, narratives always change. So we'll see what the narratives end up being. If we have longer distribution, that's our best chance, in my opinion. That's our best chance. In the event that the thing just hits the fan and goes straight line down, the whole world is wrecked, right? The whole world is obliterated. So, T says, Stash, you are special too. Oh, everybody's like giving hugs and saying they're special. Trent says they couldn't print in the 30s. They can now. Right. So there you go. So there's the big misconception that everybody has. And we should talk on that for just a brief moment in time here. Everybody has this perception that markets go up and will just keep going up because of printing. Look at this chart and what has happened to every time prior to them printing. Everything gets wrecked. Everything gets destroyed. Everything gets obliterated. And then they print. It is not all-time highs. Now let's print and go moon. It is obliterated, then print. You know what I mean? So, nah, bro. Trent, come on, man. You can't. Nah, bro. They come in on mass dump and print to save it. I'm thinking, oh, geez, dude. That's a big gamble, bro. Big gamble. I'm going to bet no. I think everybody's been conditioned to that. It's kind of like with everything. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me 3 times, it's not going to happen. And that everybody's been fooled every time up until now. And so this time it's the return to normal. You ever heard that in a bubble pop of a return to normal? Right? That they all expect, things are going to return back to the exact way they always were. This time they're going to print. They're going to do everything, right? People didn't think that here. They thought the sky was going to fall. The sky, everything was going to get obliterated. And plus, you don't know what the narrative would be in an event that a crash like this does end up coming. You just don't know what that narrative is going to be. But I promise you, it's going to be just something that's going to spook you, right? Like Grayscale Bitcoin dumping, Mt. Gox going to be releasing their Bitcoins. The narratives just arrive that make it to where you don't buy. Just like down in here. I don't care how many people come on here into the chat and say, I bought. If you watch this channel, you had a higher probability that you did buy at the bottoms than any other channels. But the majority don't, because they still expect a little bit lower. That's all they were expecting for, right? Narrative super utterly horrible. They expect a little bit lower. They don't get it. And that's kind of the discussion here with the 60K thing too, right? Getting up here, if you're expecting just that little bit more, you just don't end up getting it right in there, right? But no, I'm definitely not in the camp that the Fed is going to save this with money printing. And again, the whole Fed narrative may just be a narrative for the whole thing, right? We get the full 4.236 extension, and everybody just has a Fed narrative for why it ends up happening. But that's the end of it. And that's scary. And I hope not, because if this happens, if this is true, if what we're seeing right now is true, dear God, don't be. Please, dear God, be wrong. If what we're seeing is true, this is the highest prices we'll see in the NASDAQ for the majority of our lives. Really. Really. That's crazy. Please, dear God, be wrong. And so that's the thing, right? So with Bitcoiners, right? You were created here. Your ETF launches right here. What are the chances? What are the chances? It's crazy. It's crazy. All right, I got to move on. We're super late. We're an hour and 34 minutes into this thing. Lawless. I'm making an inverse Adams financial advisor ETF today. LOL. BCB, not financial advice. That's funny. Yeah, Adam, you need to really, really talk with your financial advisor. If you missed it earlier, Adam's financial advisor says we've never had a crash during an election year. Except, and then he says, how do you respond to that? And I say, 2020 was an election year. And then I say, 2008 was an election year. So, Adam, you need to contact your financial advisor and say, what? Wait a minute, bro. Wait a minute. So, all right, there we go. There we have it. Crypto steady today, which is a good sign. It's time to build a little bit of support. There's still probably one more little flush back down to the lows, but hopefully we get a nice bullish divergence on that. We got a couple of greenies over here up, 7%. You get SUI, ICP, IOTA, and New Economy movement up over 7% today. It's a nice little breath of fresh air compared to what we've seen for the last few days. Otherwise, again, we'll check on it tomorrow. And things are looking like they're starting to slowly stabilize in here. So on that note, guys, check out bcbacker.com if you want to learn about all that Elliott wave stuff that we've talked. I do wave counts. There's all the PDF printouts in there for you, so you can have those resources. There's way more in here with Elliott waves, Wyckoff method, teaching you how to set up your own charts and indicators right over here on bcbacker.com. I also write a newsletter twice a month. You guys know it. If you haven't subscribed, what are you waiting for? Come join the fun. These all have audio recordings. So if you like hearing my silky smooth, beautiful voice in here, I do also read all these things to you as well. So you can just pop in some earbuds, go on a walk, and just try to listen to me explain away everything that I have to talk about in here. Most recent ones, of course, we're taking a look forward into 2024. Bitcoin hitting the highs, showing all the things that indicated that there was a reversal happening in there for Bitcoin. And, of course, all the discussions on developer data and how the market changed in 2021 and what that would look like here in 2024 when it comes to altcoins and who performed the best and what similar qualities did they have when it comes to developer activity, percentage drawdowns, and circulating supply inflation. I run all the numbers in here so you don't have to and deliver it to you. And this is a 4-part newsletter. This was the conclusion one with a beautiful 32-minute audio voiceover over here on blockchainbacker.substack.com. There's a link in the description of this live stream and all of my videos to blockchainbacker.substack.com and to bcbacker.com. Otherwise, you guys, thank you all so much for being here. I appreciate it. Every day we show up and you guys are always here. Thank you. I really appreciate the support, especially the guys who are here every day. But on that note, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this thing up and we'll check in with you again soon. That's it. Thank you so much for watching. If you could, please like this live stream and give it a thumbs up. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice and I am not a financial advisor, but if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Dude, I almost did it.
It is Wednesday, my dude. It is Wednesday, my dude. It is Wednesday, my dude.
Okay, hold on. All right, hold on. We got to do this again too. We got to do it like this. All right, no, we're not ready. All right, that's good. All right, that's good. All right, guys, that's it for this one. I want to thank you all so much for watching. If you could, please like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can be notified when I create new content and when I go live. As always, it's not financial advisor. I'm not an investment advisor. Have a good one.